Hi my friends, welcome back to another little tutorial. In this tutorial, by the way, I hope you're all keeping very well. It's winter time, it's getting very cold, isn't it? Let me just see if I can fix this thing here. Wayne, who is a patron, a very good supporter of mine, he's having trouble with clouds. And he asked me would I be able to do a little tutorial on some clouds, just to show him the ins and outs of creating basic clouds, but very nice clouds. So I'm going to do a little tutorial on clouds today. I hope you don't mind. I have a canvas here. It's 16 by 12. Now, I didn't prime this canvas, and there's a reason. I want the canvas to be sort of slightly dry, in the sense that it'll soak in the paint kind of quickly enough, and there won't be any oiliness or muddiness on the canvas, so I can put different layers on top of colours without them mixing too much. Normally I would prime a canvas maybe with a layer of undercoat, or even a layer of linseed oil with turpentine or something like that. That makes it very oily and slippery. But for a sky, generally I wouldn't prime or oil the canvas if I'm putting contrasting colours. So in other words, I'm putting a blue background on the sky and then some warm orangey kind of clouds with some shadows. So I don't want those colours mixing too much on the canvas. So I'm leaving it, I'm just using a dry canvas today, okay? It has been primed, it's just fresh out of the wrapping. That will allow the paint to kind of soak in and the colours won't mix too much. Do you understand what I mean? So let's go and have a bit of fun here with this. It's a 16 by 12 canvas, a nice simple tutorial on clouds, and you can apply this type of a sky to any kind of a scene, or you could even just keep the clouds white if you want. It's up to yourself. So let's go and have a bit of fun with some clouds. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a huge deal to me. It really does. Just keeps helping me. Sorry, it helps me keep going with these tutorials and teaching you some basic skills. Although some of them may be a little more advanced than others, but I like to kind of try something different every time, just to keep it alive, keep it interesting. Do you know what I mean? So get your stuff if you want to follow me along. This will be a nice little tutorial. Don't go anywhere. I'll see you very shortly. Okay, here we go. There is the reference photograph. Now, it just looks like a simple scene, but I'm going to create some nice, wonderful little clouds for you, okay? I'm going to put some masking tape across the horizon line here, just to give us something at the end of the painting. It could be anything, it could just be a row of trees or something like that, anything at all. So let's put some paint on. Okay, I am going to say Naples yellow. I am going to go with a little crimson, little alizarin crimson. I will try some, let's go with some phthalo blue, because that blue is a nice rich dark blue. Okay, some of that, a little bit, it's very, very strong. Now I'm just going to cut in front of the camera. I'm thinking a touch of burnt umber. Let me go here. Also, oh no, that's black actually, sorry. A little black and a little burnt umber. And I'm going to get some white, titanium white. Plenty of that. And let me see now, what other colours could we use? I can see a tiny amount of magenta in there as well. And I can also see a touch of cadmium yellow. And I think that's enough. I don't think we need to go crazy with these. I just want to have plenty of variety of colours on the canvas, okay? That's all. You can just use plain white for the clouds if you like, Wayne. A simple white through the blue will do absolutely fine. You don't need to go to all these lengths, but I just want to make some nice colourful clouds for you. Let me just get a pencil. And what I'm going to do is just very quickly sketch out the bulky clouds, okay? Just the very bulky ones, just like this, you see? And it comes up like that, and like that, and goes up. Just to avoid putting blue on these. Alright, just one or two, just here and there, look. And one just say over here like that, okay? And that will help, that will really help. so we're not painting over blue constantly. Okay, let's get a brush. And I'll go with a nice medium, kind of a flat brush, okay? I'll dip that in my turpentine. I have some linseed in my turpentine as well, just to kind of make it slippery, just a little bit, so it moves around a little bit for me, but not too much. Let's take some phthalo blue and plenty of white, okay? Go right in there and pick up loads of white. So it's a kind of a creamy, a nice thin creamy kind of consistency, all right? We just have a look at that now. I'm going to put that down in the bottom half, we'll say. Now the sky, that looks a bit luminous to me. I want the sky to be kind of soft, a little bit soft. I'll take a touch of crimson, okay, a little touch of alizarin crimson, and then more white, just for the bottom half. I can see the top half is very kind of rich, isn't it, up here, very, very dark. But I want to put this soft blue down in the bottom down here. And just kind of go around, roughly around your clouds, where you think the clouds will be. It doesn't have to be perfect, all right? This is just a guide. It just helps, so I'm not painting over blue with my clouds later on. It'll just help me painting my clouds a little easier. So put that all the way across. Okay, now just keep the brush quick clean, and then add plenty of white down towards the end with a little more crimson. Okay, and then I'm going to soften that in, because it's nice and soft down at the bottom, isn't it? And you can see how dry the canvas is now. It's really kind of soaking in all this paint. More white, more crimson, and let's go with a little Naples yellow just for the bottom, all right? Just way down here at the bottom. And you can see I even have some blue already on my brush. It's not perfectly clean, but that's fine. And you can see a very rich pinky colour off in the distance as well, can't you? You can see that. Little Naples yellow with some crimson and a little white. Pop that in down here, all the way across. Soften it up into your blue. Soften everything together, nice and soft and warm, all the way up like that. So you can see we're already getting a nice gradient there now, aren't we? Okay, now over to this side. Again, a little bit of white, a little bit of crimson, and touch of that blue. Okay, nice mauve. A very soft mauve going up into a more of a blue colour. You see? And the trick is not to mix them together too much, especially if you have Naples yellow in your mix. Try not to go crazy with the Naples yellow and the blue together. Let's darken this now as it goes up. Nice simple phthalo blue and white. And what I generally do is I generally tend to put in the lighter colour first and then add darker colour over that when painting skies like this. So more blue, white, maybe a touch of that magenta. Look, let's go with a little touch of it. I know this might be a little bit vibrant. You just hold the canvas here, stop it making noise, and then I'm going to go really dark, okay? Really, really dark for the top. Phthalo blue and crimson. We'll go with that first. Ooh, that's a rich dark, isn't it? More crimson, and let's go with a touch of black, all right? A tiny touch of black, just to really deepen the colour a bit more. Continue with cross, right across here. And look, I'm only using a kind of a thin layer of colour. It's not very, very thick paint. That means it will then kind of tend to dry into the canvas a little quicker. If you use very, very thick paint on your brush, it's just going to take hours and hours to kind of soak into your canvas. But using a thin mix like this, it helps because it's not going to sit there too long. Do you understand? It's going to kind of soften in going to kind of dry in quickly to the canvas. Not completely, but it's difficult to explain. It sort of, the wetness and the oiliness goes from it much quicker on a kind of a thin mix like this on a dry canvas. So I'm going to go really dark now in the center. That's really eye-catching, isn't it, that dark? And it's probably just the way the picture was taken. The settings on the camera were probably adjusted just to this area, but it's a nice, very eye-catching part of the sky. So black, phthalo blue, and a little crimson or even magenta perhaps, just to give it that rich, dark, bluey feel. Okay, a little bit more magenta. You can now, if you like, just keep this plain dark blue down to light blue. Okay, it's up to yourself, completely up to yourself. You don't have to go to all these lengths. This is just a kind of a simple tutorial on painting a nice cloud in the sky. See what I mean? So I'm going to try and simplify it as much as I can for you. But this should be kind of easy enough now for you to achieve. Okay? Soften it all out. Let's go over here and soften it across. I'm focusing more kind of on the center. Now I've went over that cloud. That's okay, all right? Don't worry about, if you have to go over a cloud, just go over the cloud. You can fill it back in again later. Now let's get more phthalo blue, little magenta, little crimson, and I'm just going to build up more here, a little bit of more of a darker colour, a little more magenta perhaps. Because this very bright, whitey, warm kind of a cloud here, it really stands out nice against that dark sky behind it, doesn't it? I really like that. And that's kind of what caught my eye when I was looking for a photograph just to try for clouds. This really caught my eye because the darks against the lights, it's really, and the warm colours against the cool colours as well, really would make a nice tutorial, I think. So let me just go across here now like this. I'm going to soften them outwards into the sky, look. So we just have a nice dark area in the centre of our sky. You could go across this with your blender brush if you like as well. Alright, now let me just sit back and take a quick look at this. Now, I go across that with my blender brush. Okay, a simple soft makeup brush or something like that. Anything like that will do. I'll go sideways first like this. Okay, and then I'll go sideways like this just to get the lines out as much as I can. Then go across. Soften that all out while it's nice and wet. Okay, let's start doing some clouds. This is where it gets fun. Lots of fun here. I'm going to put more white on my palette. And these clouds could be a little tricky in the sense that we're painting onto a blue. So if we're going with a warm, pinky, kind of a yellow, pinky orange colour, there's a chance we'll get mud. But I'll take my time anyway, and let's just see how we go. If we have to come back to it, leave this dry and come back to it, we can. But we don't really have to, okay? Let me find a nice brush for this. I suppose I could try something like this. Okay, this is fairly worn, but any little flat brush you have will do absolutely fine for this, all right? And what else have I got? My brushes seem to have just kind of wandered off. Look, I have a couple over here. Another little nice flat one here. Look, I lose that. Now you see that nice warm colour. I'm going to start with that, okay? It's basically, let's go with some crimson, some white. Now, lots of thick paint. This is going to be almost just paint on its own. No thinners in this. Okay? That will allow us to cover that blue really well. Okay, lots more white. And it's nice. It's a warm colour, isn't it? I'll go with some Naples yellow. So far we have Naples yellow, crimson and white. And I just keep adding little touches of the crimson. Another little touch of the Naples yellow. I might take just a touch of cadmium as well. That will just really warm it much quicker than the Naples yellow. So we have a lovely warm pink here now. You see that? Lovely rich and warm pink. And let's have a look. Okay, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to fill in the entire cloud with this. I'm not going right into the blue just yet, okay? I'm avoiding the blue line, just for now. Let's just fill in this cloud with this lovely pink. Now we can go into the blue at the bottom because it's a very soft blue. And again, I'm not going to really copy the photograph too much. I just want to kind of get the perspective of the clouds going down off into the distance. That's just what I'm kind of aiming to achieve with this tutorial. And of course, showing you how to create simple clouds using simple techniques. I'm just going with my brush around in a sort of circular, you see. I'm pulling it around in little circles. And then you could let this just sort of disappear down off into the horizon, look, like that. Just putting in little bits, little straight pieces along, okay? So we have that cloud done. Let's go over and put in this cloud. White, Naples yellow, some crimson. Crimson is very rich, isn't it? Let's try a touch of cadmium yellow. And a little more crimson. We don't want to overdo it with pink. So I'm keeping it warm. You see that? Keeping it nice and warm. There. Now, you see I was picking up some of the blue at the end. That's fine, okay? You can do that if you want, because the colour we're using is more pink. So if you pick up a bit of blue with the pink, it's just going to make some nice warm colours, all right? It won't affect it too much. If your colour is more on the yellow side and you pick up blue, it's going to go green, okay? That's just the way it goes. Green and, blue and yellow make green. So let's go up here and we'll try and get in these nice bright edges on this cloud, okay? Because that's what really stands out for me. I'm going to go with some Naples yellow, lots of white. There's a hint of pink in this. I'll try magenta. Let's try a touch of magenta for a change. Tiny, tiny touch with the corner of your brush is all you need. Okay? Then I'm going to go up. Now, you don't want to mix this into the blue too much. As I said earlier, you can leave this blue dry completely. It'll make things much easier for you. I just like the wet and wet feel. But if you want to leave this dry, go up here and just put your cloud in quickly and don't mix it too much. So clean the brush already, straight away, clean your brush, go back into some fresh colour, go back out with more, and then pushing it outwards, you see with my brush. Now, as I said earlier, Wayne, if you're having trouble with this, you could just use simple white, okay? A white, titanium white on its own, and just make your clouds with that, okay? And that'll soften into the blue and create some beautiful colours. You don't have to do this. You don't have to go to these extremes just for your clouds, okay? But I just wanted to make a nice cloud kind of tutorial. I'm going to push my paint, see, push it right up and come down again. So you can kind of start to see the idea. Let's go back into that again. And now it seems to kind of warm up here, but I'm just going to go with this colour anyway for now. And I can warm it, I can add to it then later. So I just want to get that nice bright edge. See, push it up into the cloud. Just soften it down into your pink then. Now, remember, keep cleaning your brush. Just give your brush a wipe every few seconds to keep it nice and clean and fresh. I'm going to go a bit further out with this. And I don't want to pick up too much of the blue. So I'm being very, very careful. I'm now going to take some white with magenta. And I'll take a little touch of cadmium yellow. Tiny, tiny amounts at a time, you see. Okay, let's go a bit higher up with this one here. Soften that down. Look, just be very rough with the brush right down all the way. Okay, let's go over to this one. Let's try this one. Let's take some titanium white, little Naples yellow, and let's try the crimson again. The Naples yellow with the crimson, it just gives you this wonderful sunlit kind of a colour. It's fantastic. You really should try it. So let's try it over here, okay? Now we have a bit of darkness on this side because the sun is coming from the left hand side, okay? This way. So it's going to be dark around here. So I'm just going to paint all these bright clouds for now. You see, just fill in all the bright ones. A little bit more crimson. And this will really make sense once I start putting on shadows. Okay, you really see it come to life. Once the shadows start going on, then the brights really come out and start jumping off of the canvas. Just put a couple of more off in the distance. When they're off in the distance, Wayne, they're much flatter, okay? So look, little flat ones like this. They're not going to be big, huge, puffy ones. Because as everything goes off into the horizon, it just becomes squished and squashed down at the horizon line. So look, little dabs with the brush, little touches of white. If you're using white, just white, okay? Just little touches of white, like this, off in the distance, and just kind of pull them left and right. That just gives you a nice impression of the cloud off in the distance, going right across the horizon line. As you come up, then you can start to make them slightly bulkier, okay? Slightly bulkier as they come higher up. Okay, I'm going to put in one or two of these ones up here just to help, and I need to make this a bit bigger as well. So let's make that a little bigger. Let's go over some white and some crimson. I think just white and crimson even, just for this one. I'm going to go right up here into that blue. Soften that down then, look. Round the little circles with the tip of your brush, that's all I'm doing. Okay? These ones up here are much pinker. Going to go with crimson. Tiny touches of crimson. Maybe a little magenta. Some white. And I'm going to use this colour, then it's going to mix into the blue, okay? So then we're going to end up with nice lilacs, and violets and purples and all that kind of thing. So let's just go like this. So you can see it's mixing into the blue. And a very important part of painting clouds is keep it nice and spontaneous. Try not, because I see it all the time in skies. People keep their clouds exactly the same all the way along, and it just makes it look unrealistic. Clouds in reality are very unpredictable, so they just pop in and out here and there. They don't, do you understand what I mean? They're very unpredictable like that. So just let your brush dance around on the canvas. Don't be shy. Look, just leave it pop down. Another one coming down here. It's just kind of breaking off all over the place. But I'm kind of bringing them down in this kind of direction. So everything is focused on the center of the canvas. All right. That's where the meeting point is. All these clouds, they're meeting in the center for a drink. Yeah. They're all going to meet down and saying, come on, let's go down here and meet down in the middle. All right. Just like that. You can leave one or two, perhaps just dance around here in the middle. Look, just stick one or two in. Little bits of cloud dancing around. I'll put another one or two, I think, just on that side over there. A tiny touch of Naples yellow in this just helps to warm the pink, okay? I'll put another one or two here, look, just leave it just sort of fizzle out. Connect it in with this one even. You see, that just, and then maybe just one or two like this, look. popping down from the corner up here. That just helps fill up the sky a little bit. So clean the brush again. And let's just soften this one out a little bit. Lots of little edges flying off of this one. This will just sort of disappear, I think. Just going to disappear off. So you can see it sort of disappearing off into the horizon. Just like that, okay? Now, you can soften these with your brush. And even soften them out at the edges, you see? And I'm going to pull these ones down in towards the centre of the canvas, creating direction in the sky. And soften some of these off in the distance as well. And I'm going to leave this one. This is really nice. It's very striking, isn't it? Okay, let's sit back and take a look. Right, shadows. Let's get some shadows. I'm going to take a new, oh no, I won't take a new brush actually. I'll go with this little smaller one. Slightly smaller flat brush. All kind of rough and worn. Yeah? Let's get a nice shadowy colour for these. I'm going to make a nice rich purple. A kind of a warm orangey purple, okay? I'll go with some crimson, cadmium yellow. It might be wrong now actually. Crimson, touch of cadmium yellow, and a tiny touch of blue. Tiniest little touch. Perhaps a little Naples yellow. Okay, more crimson. Just take your time with all of this, okay? Take your time, there's no rush. I'll pick up a little bit of this blue here. Let's have a look. Okay. I'm going to warm it slightly. I'm going to add a touch of magenta. And I'm going to start sort of around the middle of the sky. And I'm going to just soften it, make a nice kind of a shadow in the centre of the sky here. Or this cloud rather. I'm going to soften it out into the lighter colour, you see. I'm just flicking my brush now around in little circular movements. That's all I'm doing, look. And we're going to have a little bit of shadow on the back of these clouds here, coming down. And I'm going to soften it very gently, then just out into the bright, you see. So I'm leaving the bright edge alone. I'm not touching the bright edge. I'm going to soften it around the little circles all the way around. And that'll give you these little lovely swirly clouds up in that sky. You see what I mean? Already you can see it kind of coming to life, can't you? It's springing into life. Okay, let's try another bit of that, and let's go over here. Now, the shadow over on this side is going to be on this side of the cloud here, okay? And again, up on the top here, and even leave some dance off up out of the sky, into the sky rather. Soften it very gently with the tip of your brush. And it's all about the feel here, okay? It's about just gently rubbing the canvas with the very tip of your brush. Let me take some crimson and a touch of blue. And I'm going to get even a touch of black as well. And I'm going to get a nice, cool, shadowy colour for this. Up there like that, look, leave it jump out. A little bit more blue. A bit more of that on the back of those clouds, you see. That's a nice one now, isn't it? So, on all of these clouds then, I'm just going to put a little touch of that colour on the backs of some of them. Okay? Now these ones in the distance, you see, I'm just putting a hint of it on one side of them and pulling it out. You see? And look, it's just a simple technique. Try to keep it simple. And if you're doing this just with white on its own, just use this simple, cool colour for the shadow of the white cloud, okay? That's all you have to do. Let's go here. And you can see there's lots of warm colours down in the distance, isn't there? Let's get a bit more crimson for that. It seems to be more like an orange in the distance, doesn't it? But I'm just going to keep this simple now, not go into too much detail with all those clouds. Okay, I just want to show you a simple little sky. See, I'm just dabbing it along the bottom and dragging it out. Do you understand? So everything in the distance is squeezed outwards. Just nice and simple. Look, a little bit of dark over here on these. Just soften the dark back in then. Back into that lighter colour. Does that make sense? My main focus really for this sky would be this chunky bright area here. Now I'm going to put a little warm pink over on this side. I can see a lovely warm pink over there. Lovely colour. So I'm going to go with some crimson, Naples yellow and a touch of cadmium, okay? Just a tiny touch. I'm going to put that lovely warm colour just down here. Look, I'm going to go over the clouds, soften it all the way along. Then bring in more Naples yellow as it comes across. Let's just keep it simple, okay? Right, I'm going to go and start lightening some of these. In fact, I might put a bit of shadow on some of these as well, come to think of it. Let me get some crimson, little phthalo blue, and a touch of black, okay? Sort of a plummy kind of a colour. Just going to put a little bit of a shadow on some of these, just here and there. Just to bring them to life a little bit, that's all. That's really all it is. And a couple over here, probably even a couple of grey ones just on their own, dancing around. I'm going to add some of this nice plum colour to the back of some of these. Like so, along the bottom then. And the trick really is just to soften them in with the tip of your brush, with the very tip of your brush, soften them in. One or two back here, and even one or two up here as well. Look, just letting the brush sort of dance around. Couple maybe off in the distance, why not? Let's pop a few there, here and there. It's a simple plum colour, that's all I'm using. Okay. Now, darken this one. Let's darken this. I'm going to get some nice plum here. Some pink, little blue, and a touch of burnt umber. Burnt umber will really warm this colour. Starting from the bottom, look. Round in little circles. Then soften it out, you see, just soften it up into that colour. That's nice, isn't it? Nice dark colour, just there. Now, I'm going to put a nice warm shadow just behind this cloud here, and perhaps this one as well. And soften it out. Now, okay, you might find this a little bit confusing, a little bit complicated, but just if you're doing with this with just a white cloud, okay, just use this little shadow color and do the very same thing. Just go in between them all, and look, even soften some of these back out, soften some of them. Look, just dance around them just to help them kind of lose their brush strokes a little bit. There, you see? Just be very free. Try not to overthink your clouds, is what I would say. Because a lot of people really overthink their clouds. They go into far too much detail with them, and they're trying to... Do you know what I find actually? And you call me silly. I find a lot of artists are trying to produce photographic paintings. Do you know what I mean? A lot of artists. Let me just adjust the camera. You see a lot of paintings, especially online nowadays, and it's like they're trying to make a photographic representation of the scene. I just don't like trying to paint something to look exactly like the photograph. That for me is just not fun. I don't see any fun in that. I rather just be spontaneous with my brush and paint something nice. Paint a nice simple scene. Do you know, I don't try to make photographs out of my paintings. Okay, some of the still lifes I will, like the water and the glass and reflections maybe every now and then. But for the most part, I just like make a nice simple, warm, inviting painting, okay? Not looking like a photograph, because if you want something to look like a photograph on your wall, just go and take a photograph, okay? Granted, okay, a lot of people are very talented painting scenes to look like photographs, but that for me, I just don't have the patience, to be quite honest, and I just prefer this nice loose style of painting. Now let's get into some of the real bright highlights. This is where it's going to start getting fun. I'm going to use a palette knife. And again, if you're just doing white, simple white clouds, okay, all you need to do is grab some white. But I'm going to grab some titanium white, a little Naples yellow. Now, not a lot. There's probably 90% white in this. Maybe a touch of cadmium yellow, just a touch. And all I want to create is a very sunlit, a bright sunlit kind of cloud, okay? That's all I want to get. I'm putting a touch of crimson into it, just a touch. But primarily, Naples yellow and white, okay? Now, I have a lovely sunlit colour there. I'm going to go and just really pick out the sun hitting these clouds just by catching the knife and pulling it, pushing it kind of outwards and softening it back then, okay? You see the way I just kind of soften it back into that plummy colour. And it's a good idea to just clean your knife every now and then, every few seconds, just give it a wipe on the tissue, just to keep the colours nice and bright, okay? It's only paint. Let's go again. Let's try this one here, look. And a little bit goes afar. Look, a little tiny bit goes a long way. If you find you put on too much or you don't like where it is, just scrape it out. Look. Scrape it out like that. Let's go up here. I can see some nice ones up here. So the front of that cloud, which is the left side of this cloud, there we go. Just like that. Isn't that lovely? So let's just keep going here with this, putting lovely bright highlights on these clouds. And the knife is fantastic for this because you can scrape it along, look, it create lovely texture on the sky. If you're doing this just with white clouds, it's perfect, okay? Just grab some white and do the very same thing. Just with the tip of your knife, see, just catch the top edge of the cloud and soften it down with your palette knife then. It creates beautiful little highlights on the outsides of your clouds. It's fantastic, it really is. Let's put another one. Now let me just get my reference photograph back up here. I'm going to put another one or two down here because this is really bright. So I'm going to cut in front and create another layer of cloud down there, you see. And soften that in with your knife, look. So we're getting all different layers, nice and bright and vibrant. Let's mix some more of that. Naples yellow, some white. You could even just go with that, Naples yellow and white if you like. In fact, it's going to get warmer as it comes across the sky, so a bit more crimson, all right, and a bit more Naples yellow. But plenty of Naples yellow, that will ensure it's nice and warm. Let's try some of that up here. There, that's a nice warm colour now, isn't it? And just use the tip of your knife to go out and create that little curve outside. And then use the flat of your knife to soften it back, you see? And that in turn creates lovely texture on your cloud. Isn't that wonderful? Let's try that again. Okay, you see, I'm not copying the photograph exactly. I don't want it to look exactly like the photograph. I want to kind of make it my own as well. So I'm putting another one or two just kind of dancing around down here as well. You can use a brush for this now as well if you like. It'll have a similar effect, but the knife just gives it that nice kind of roughness. So look, and the ones on the bottom then, just a little touch of it just here and there, and soften them in. You see? And keep cleaning your knife, that's very important, okay? Keep cleaning. I'm going to put a little bit up here. Just a tiny touch on some of these clouds. Just to accentuate the sun hitting the sides of the clouds, okay? That's all I want to do. I'll pop one or two down here. And you can see I'm just simply dragging a little bit off the knife, using the grain of the canvas to drag off the paint, okay? Very, very simple. I'll put one or two over here, again, just to catch the sun, you see? And look, just have a bit of fun. Just remember, just keep it simple. And already we've a lovely sky, don't we? Lovely, lovely sky. I might pop a little touch of highlight to some of these. Maybe just one or two. Look, tiny bit back here. Literally just scraping the knife in a very random motion. Okay? That's all I'm doing. And make it random. One or two here and there, just on those clouds coming down from the left, scraping it along. You don't really have to complicate a sky. I mean, this for me is just a basic sky, really, okay? You can go into loads of little detail with a fine brush, putting on little shadows and all that kind of thing. This for me is a much more entertaining way of painting a sky. It's much more fun, okay? Remember, palette knife is probably the best tool you have. You don't necessarily have to use brushes all of the time. Just remember, you have a palette knife. Let's cut in front of one of those clouds there just to give this bit more body, okay? There we go. And finally, I'm just going to really brighten that one in the middle, just to help that really stand out. Let's take some white. And let's really make that pop. Because that for me is really the focal point of the entire painting. Okay, it could be a little bit bigger, but you know, you don't really have to make it look like the photograph, okay? If you're happy enough with this, and I'm happy enough, you can just leave it as it is. You don't really have to go crazy. Little bit on that. I won't go any further, I don't think. And that for me is fine. What I might do is soften very gently some of these ones up here, okay? Soften some of those into your cloud, just a little. See what I mean? You can use a small blender brush for this as well now if you like. You don't have to use this big blender brush. I'm just used to using these ones. But that's fine. And soften maybe the bottom ones as well. Very gently. And there we are. And I think that's a lovely sky. I'm happy enough with that. Let's put in just a simple, very dark ocean now across this, okay? Let me find my brush, the one I was using first. Oh, here it is. Nice big flat brush. Let's go with some phthalo blue, some crimson. And I keep it warm, crimson and a touch of black, okay? Let's just assume there's a very rich dark ocean down here. Let's take some burnt umber and a bit more crimson. And this will really help the sky jump out off the canvas. You can see it's really wet. This is just really just to sit the sky down. That's all I want to do. I just want to sit the sky down on the land. It's just something to have something there, you know what I mean? Doesn't have to be anything fancy. There we go. And my friends, it's that simple, really. I just wanted to make this a very quick tutorial. Well, not very quick, but I didn't want to overcomplicate it too much for you. But it's just a nice simple sky with some clouds. Okay, now let's add a bit of light to this. I'll grab some crimson. Let's just go and add a touch of light into this from that sky. So let's imagine, you know, we've lots of these colours reflecting down. Let's just take a bit of crimson and a little Naples yellow. Let's just pop a little bit of that through here and there. Let's try again. Naples yellow, crimson. And let's come over here and pop some of that out like that. Okay. Some crimson, Naples yellow. Let's go like this. Just pull it across nice and loosely. Just have a bit of fun, that's all. And then we'll try and get some reflections in. Let's try the knife. Let's go with our palette knife. And let's mix a nice warm colour. Let's get some Naples yellow, little crimson. Okay. Make a nice, you see that nice warm colour there, look. Kind of a salmony peachy colour. Let's just go across like this. and pull it across. I may even take a touch of cadmium yellow as well, and a touch more crimson, just to make it more of a kind of a warm colour. Pull that down, look. It's really just for effect, that's all. And I'm just going to soften that across first, okay? So I'm going to soften it across. It's really only just to have something in the foreground. All right, that's all it's for. And my friends, that's it. You really just keep it simple like that. Now, if you wanted to soften that back edge in, okay, you might think it's very, very sharp. Let's just go across it with our brush, softening it ever so slightly. Just like that, okay? And that just takes the edge off of it. Now, you may say, okay, it's still a little bit dark. I think it's a little bit dark still. Take some plum and just put some plum along the horizon line as well. You know, just to help break up the darkness, that's all. Just like that, okay? That'll do fine. Let me soften that in. Like so. And there we are, my friends. I'm going to pop a bird in, because I like putting a little bird in my paintings every now and then. Small little bird. Let's just take a little dark colour. Pop a little bird in up here. Flying off. You could put something like a little boat or something like that in there as well, if you wished. Should be. Come on, let's put a little boat in. A little sailboat off in the distance. Like that. And a little black for the base of it. And you can, if you want, just suggest a little bit of a reflection on that. Just something small, that's all. And there we go, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that. A simple little sky. I know it was a little bit different, unusual, but I think we've captured a nice little sky there, don't you? I'm very happy with that. Nice, simple little clouds. So try it, my friends. Wayne, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it has helped, I suppose, even open your mind. Let me just take off this camera now for a second. I do apologise, it's still recording. I hope it has kind of opened up your mind a little bit about clouds and just keeping it simple and you know, not trying to overthink it. But definitely try the palette knife. The palette knife is fantastic for creating texture and clouds. You could, if you wanted to, even just use a palette knife for all of the clouds. Do you know what I mean? Just scrubbing and mixing with the palette knife, mixing the colours together and getting those highlights. So let me know what you think about that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back on YouTube with a lovely snow scene, because Christmas is coming. I want to start getting some snow scenes done. I hope you enjoy those. Thank you so much for all your support, and have a wonderful Christmas. I'll be back in the next week or two anyway, but happy Christmas to you all, and have a bit of fun with this. Let me know what you think. Happy painting. Take care, everyone.